Check this. Americans hold an average of $26,621 in personal debt. Over 47% of American adults are now carrying debt on their credit cards. Americans owe a total of $1.057 trillion in credit card debts. Over 23% of credit card holders have increased their balance as a direct result of this pandemic. Over 33.5 million Americans have filed for unemployment. Over 48,004 foreclosures have been filed in the US. And things are just getting crazier. What you need to know is that everything ties to one another. If one industry gets affected, another one will feel its strain. For example, when banks aren't giving out loans and tightening up their restrictions, the housing market gets affected. For example, when credit card debt starts to raise, collections start to happen, late payments start to happen, penalties start to happen, and most importantly, your credit score gets affected. In our economy, if one sector gets hit, the other sector will feel it. What I'm going to do in this video is segment off for two parts. I'm going to start with the foreclosure crisis and end with the credit card crisis, so stick around. Also, don't forget to hit the like button if you got any value from this video. I'd appreciate it. Now, why is the foreclosure crisis so important for you to know about, and why do I keep mentioning it to you? What you need to know is that foreclosures have been suspended. They can't happen right now. This means that there is no foreclosures happening and there's no auctions being held for the foreclosures. Now, the issue with that is what happens to all of those homeowners who are already in the foreclosure process, who are already going to lose their home, who are already defaulting on their loan. What happens to them after the foreclosure gets lifted and now the banks can start to foreclose on? The issue is what happens to the homeowners who were losing their homes before the pandemic. They were already losing their homes. They defaulted, the foreclosure process started, and their homes were already going to the auction. What happens to them? Do you think that they can afford it now that the banks gave them more time? I don't think so. If they couldn't afford it before the pandemic, do you actually think they can afford it now during the pandemic? How do you think they're going to be able to recover if before the pandemic they couldn't afford it, during the pandemic they lost their jobs, and after the pandemic they're trying to recover, trying to get jobs, and trying to wait on their paychecks to come in to just make ends meet? If during a good economy they couldn't pay, I highly doubt during a bad economy they can pay. Now, I'm not bashing on anybody, and I want you to understand that I'm just explaining how the foreclosure process is and what people are going through before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and what I'm expecting after the pandemic. I'm honestly feeling that the foreclosure market is going to be flooded. A statistic shows that 48,004 houses were filed in the US to get foreclosed on. Now, this is one of the all-time low numbers. This is actually not that high of a number. Usually the numbers are a lot higher. So this is showing a strong economy, good jobs, good growth. This is showing that the economy is doing good. But now on the flip side, that's a good economy. Now, whenever there's a bad economy, what's going to happen? These numbers are showing it during a good economy. Everybody's paying on time and everybody's doing well. Now, 33.5 million people unemployed. How are they going to be? How are they going to pay their mortgage? How are they going to even survive not making any money? Statistics are also now showing that once the foreclosures get lifted and the banks can go seize the properties, this number is going to skyrocket. Now, you might ask yourself, why is this number going to skyrocket? Why are foreclosures going to raise? Well, think about it. People before the pandemic were losing their home. During the pandemic, they lost their jobs and they have no income. After the pandemic, they're trying to recover. You actually think they're going to be able to save enough money to catch up on their mortgage and pay off their debts? I don't think so, and that's the sad truth. So many people have got unemployed. So many people have no savings, can't catch up on their debt, are getting more debt, are paying through their credit cards, have no cash, have nothing liquid, no assets. It's going to be tough, and this is what's going to cause a foreclosure crisis. For all the homeowners that were living paycheck to paycheck and couldn't afford their homes during a good economy, I'm feeling that in a bad economy, they're bound to lose their homes. And it's so sad to say, but it's not going to be easy for them to keep up. It's not going to be easy for them to recover. They're getting more debt. Their credit cards are going higher because they have no money, because this pandemic caught everybody by storm, and they're just trying to survive. Now, on the flip side, the credit card crisis, what's going on with that? It is showing that the debt for credit cards, the numbers for it are skyrocketing. Now, you say foreclosures are going to skyrocket. They're talking about credit card debt already skyrocketing. There's an interesting study that I was reading that says a Federal Reserve survey was conducted in 2018, and it says that the majority of Americans can only account for an unexpected amount of $400. This means that if out of nowhere there's a random charge on them or there's a random incident that happens and they have to pay, they can only afford up to $400 before they go into debt. Now, what happens to the Americans who were living paycheck to paycheck, didn't even have $400 in their savings, had $80, and they got kids and they have to feed their kids and they have to go get things from outside like groceries? What are they going to do when a pandemic like this strikes out of nowhere and they have $80 in the bank? How do you think they're going to survive? They're going to resort to their credit cards. Americans who got no liquid cash, they can't leave their home because of lockdown, they're trying to order groceries. What are they going to do? They don't have any money with them. They're going to swipe the credit card, and keep swiping their credit card. Over 23% of Americans are now carrying credit card debt as a result from this pandemic, meaning they never had that debt and now they have it because of this pandemic. Now, if you think about it, why are they going into debt? They're not going out for entertainment. They're not shopping and buying Louis Vuitton and some high products. They're not doing any of that. What are they doing? They're buying essential needs for their family and for themselves. This shows you that 23% of Americans did not have the money to be able to buy the essential needs and necessities that they have to survive. So they had to go into debt. Now, there's also a statistics that says $1.057 trillion of credit card debt is happening in America right now. Now, that debt is not $100 million or $30 million, $1 trillion plus dollars. The number keeps going up. So what are you expecting? A credit card crisis, or just everything to go back to normal? I want you to remember one thing. The people who give you those credit cards, the banks who give you those credit cards, the servicers who give you those credit cards, they want to get paid. And if they don't get paid and they can't get their money back, they're also lending it from somebody else. And it just trickles and trickles and trickles. Just like I said in the beginning of the video, if one sector gets hit, another one feels it. The numbers are real, debt is skyrocketing, and things are not looking too good for the credit card industry as well. The foreclosure industry is not looking good, which is the real estate industry. The credit card industry is not looking good. And at the end of the day, all of these are hand in hand together. Imagine not having enough money to live week after week after week. Let alone a pandemic comes, you lose your job, and now you gotta survive on lockdown for 2 months. How are you gonna do that? What are you gonna resort to? What are you going to do? Debt. The number, the answer, everything. Debt. You're gonna have to go into debt so you can be able to survive. A recent study shows that a quarter of Americans who are going into debt or who raised their credit card debts happened in the last 2 months. Ever since the pandemic started, that's when their debt started to raise with credit cards. And it's sad, to be honest. It just shows that people don't even have enough money to be able to buy groceries without going into debt. Now, you have to think of it. 39 million Americans make under $15 an hour. Now do the math with me. If they're working 40 hours per week, that's $600 a week times 4 for the month. That's $2,400 a month. Now, if you're making $2,400 a month, you got to pay your mortgage or you got to pay your rent. Let's just say it's $1,500. How much money is left? You got to get food for the kids. You got to take them to school. You got to buy groceries. You got to buy clothes. You got to buy necessities, car insurance, health insurance, your cell phone bill, your Wi-Fi. It's tough. It's not easy. And that's 39 million Americans making under $15 an hour. So you can assume and you can think all day long of why the debt is raising, but it's just there right in front of you. It's all statistics. $15 an hour is what 39 million Americans are making. You can hardly survive day to day with that money. Now, to sum it up, here's what's happening. The foreclosure crisis, it might be right around the corner. A credit card crisis, it's already here, over $1 trillion in credit card debt. And you need to be aware of all of this that's happening. Why? So you can be educated and understanding of what's happening. So you can be prepared to take advantage of the opportunities that present themselves. And so you can understand how the world works and how to prepare yourself, your personal self and your family to never, ever, ever have to experience something that the majority of Americans are experiencing. It is extremely sad, and the goal of this video and of all the videos I make is that so you personally never have to experience the hardships like that. So you're prepared, you're ahead of the time, you're ahead of your game, and you're always ready. If worse comes to worse, something like this happens. You're always ready for it, and you're always understanding that things like this do happen, and your job is to be educated and to be ahead of the pack. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a like. And most importantly, every single week I upload real estate, business, and finance content. So subscribe. If you enjoyed this one, I hope you'll enjoy the future ones. And if you haven't watched the previous ones, go check them out. I've been getting so much support from you guys lately, and I really appreciate that. I love y'all's comments, so drop them below. Tell me what you think about the market and what's going to happen. And I'll see you in the next video. Keep on hustling, keep up the good work, and don't stop for nothing. Keep making that brain work and get educated. And I'll see you in the next video. I'm out.